Captain Lee Jiwan stood on the bridge of the starship Dauntless, watching the stars through the main window. 3 months had passed since they left Earth's solar system. This was humanity's first real journey into deep space, and Lee felt the weight of history on his shoulders. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Dr. Kim Nari from her science station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "There are ships ahead. Lots of them." Lee walked over to look at her screen. Dozens of bright dots filled the display. "How many ships are we talking about?" "At least 40, maybe more. They're fighting each other." Kim Nari looked up at him with worry in her eyes. "Captain, these ships are huge. Much bigger than anything we've ever built." Commander Choi Minho stepped forward from his position. "Should we turn around?" "We don't know what we're getting into." Lee thought for a moment. They had come so far to explore the galaxy. Running away from the first aliens they met didn't feel right. "No, we keep going, but carefully. Reduce speed and try to stay hidden." On the main screen they could see the battle now. Strange ships that looked like living crystals fired beams of pure light at dark, insect-like vessels. The insect ships shot back with green energy that melted holes in space itself. Explosions lit up the darkness between the stars. "I've never seen anything like this," whispered Engineer Yoon Hale from his station. "Those weapons could destroy our entire ship with one shot." Suddenly, both fleets stopped firing. The crystal ships and insect ships moved away from each other, creating a wide, empty space between them. All the alien vessels turned toward the Dauntless. "Captain, they've detected us," Kim Nari said, her voice tight with fear. "All of them are looking at us." Lee's heart pounded, but he kept his voice calm. "Are they going to attack?" "I don't think so. They're just watching." The communication system crackled to life. Strange sounds filled the bridge. Clicking noises mixed with musical tones that hurt to listen to. Then, amazingly, the sounds became words they could understand. "Human vessel, this is Ambassador Nixara of the Diplomatic Corps. Please respond." Lee looked at his crew. No one knew what to say. Finally, he pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Lee Jiwan of the Earthship Dauntless. We come in peace. Captain Jiwan, you must listen carefully. Your people have awakened something very old and very dangerous. May we come aboard your ship? There are things you must know." Lee hesitated. Letting aliens onto their ship could be dangerous. But they were already surrounded by vessels that could destroy them easily. "You may come aboard, Ambassador." An hour later, Lee stood in the main meeting room with his senior officers. The door opened and Ambassador Nixara entered. She looked like a tall, thin human woman, but her skin was pale blue and her eyes were completely silver. She moved with grace that seemed impossible. "Thank you for allowing me aboard," she said, sitting down carefully. "I know this is frightening for you. First contact always is." "Ambassador," Lee said, "why did your fleet stop fighting when they saw us?" Nixara's silver eyes showed something that might have been fear. "Because of the old laws. Rules that were made millions of years ago before any of our current civilizations existed." Dr. Kim Nari leaned forward. "What kind of laws?" "The most important law in the galaxy says this. When the humans emerge from their cradle world, all conflicts must cease. The inheritors have awakened." Nixara paused, watching their confused faces. "You are the inheritors." "That's impossible," Commander Choi Minho said. "How could ancient aliens know about humans? We only started building spaceships recently." "We don't know how they knew," Nixara admitted. "The civilization that made these laws died out long before any of us reached the stars. They left behind monuments on thousands of worlds, all with the same message about humans." Engineer Yoon Hale shook his head. "This doesn't make sense. We're just explorers. We're not special." Nixara stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the alien fleets. "The Veltar Dominion and the Krexthul Hegemony have been at war for 300 years. They hate each other more than anything in the universe. But when your ship appeared, they both stopped fighting immediately. The old laws are that powerful." "What happens now?" Lee asked. "That depends on your people, Captain. Some aliens will welcome you and follow the old laws, but others—" She turned back to face them. "Others will see you as a threat. They will say the old laws are just old stories that don't matter anymore." Dr. Kim Nari was studying her scanner. "Ambassador, I'm detecting some very strange readings from your ship. Your technology is far beyond ours. Yes, it is. Most galactic civilizations are thousands of years ahead of Earth. But that doesn't seem to matter to the old laws." Nixara sat down again. "Captain, I must warn you. Not everyone will be happy about your arrival. There are those who will try to kill you before the galaxy learns that humans have reached the stars. The bridge fell silent. Lee felt the weight of responsibility growing heavier. They had come to explore and learn. Instead, they had stumbled into something that could change the entire galaxy. What should we do? He asked finally. Be careful, be smart, and remember that your actions now will affect not just your ship, but all of humanity. Nixara stood to leave. The galaxy has been waiting for you for millions of years, Captain G1. Some have waited with hope, others with fear. After she left, Lee's crew sat in stunned silence. They were no longer just explorers from Earth. Somehow, they had become the center of galactic politics they didn't understand. Captain, Dr. Kim Nari said quietly, I'm picking up messages from across this star system. Ancient automated systems are activating. They're broadcasting information about us to the entire galaxy. Lee looked out at the alien fleet, still watching them from a distance. Whatever happened next, there was no going back. Humanity had stepped onto a stage they never knew existed, playing a role in a story that began long before Earth was even formed. Send a message to Earth, he ordered. Tell them what we found. Humanity needs to be ready for what's coming. As the Dauntless prepared to continue its journey, Lee wondered if they were ready for the responsibility that seemed to have been placed on their shoulders millions of years ago. The galaxy was watching, and some of those watchers were not friendly. The oldest rule in the galaxy had been awakened, and there was no telling what would happen next. War Prime Krexthul slammed his armored fist on the command table. His insect-like face twisted with anger as he stared at the crystal being across from him. 3 days had passed since the humans appeared, and he was tired of waiting. High Counselor Veltar, we have fought each other for 300 years. Are we really going to stop because of some old stories about hairless mammals? High Counselor Veltar's crystal body glowed with frustrated light. Her voice sounded like breaking glass when she spoke. The old laws have kept the galaxy stable for millions of years, War Prime. We cannot simply ignore them. Then let's make sure they don't apply anymore. Krexthul leaned forward on his 6 legs. If there are no humans left alive, the old laws become meaningless. We can return to our war. Veltar's light dimmed as she considered this. She had spent her entire life following the ancient rules, but the idea of bowing to primitive creatures from a small blue planet made her crystal form ache with shame. You suggest we work together? She asked slowly. Just long enough to remove the human problem. Then we can kill each other properly. 2 star systems away, Captain Lee G1 was trying to understand the flood of messages coming from across the galaxy. Some aliens welcomed humanity with joy. Others sent threats and warnings. Most seemed confused and scared. Captain, Dr. Kim Nari called from her station. I'm getting an emergency signal from the colony ship New Hope. They're 3 days out from Kepler 442b. Lee felt his stomach drop. The New Hope carried 50,000 human settlers to establish humanity's first colony outside the solar system. They had no weapons and no way to defend themselves. What's their status? He asked. They're reporting unknown ships approaching their position. Large ships moving very fast. Commander Choi Minho ran onto the bridge holding a data pad. Captain, we just received intelligence from Ambassador Nixara. The Veltar and Krexthul fleets have joined together. They're moving toward human space. Lee didn't hesitate. Set course for the New Hope, maximum speed. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need the fleet here now. Sir, even at full speed, we won't reach them for 18 hours, Engineer Yoon Hale said from his station. Then we better hope 18 hours is fast enough. The Dauntless pushed through space as fast as its engines could carry it, but they were too late. When they arrived at Kepler 442b, they found debris floating where the New Hope should have been. Thousands of emergency pods drifted among the wreckage like seeds scattered by a terrible wind. Life signs? Lee asked, his voice tight. I'm reading survivors in about half the pods, Dr. Kim Nari reported. But Captain, the main ship is gone. Completely destroyed. Lee closed his eyes for a moment. 25,000 people dead. Men, women, and children who had dreamed of building a new world among the stars. Rescue operations. Get every survivor aboard. Now. As they worked to save the survivors, long-range sensors detected a new arrival. Admiral Park Sun-Ho's fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. 12 ships, including 2 heavy cruisers and Earth's newest battleship, the Indomitable. Admiral Park's face appeared on the main screen. He was older than Lee, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. Captain Lee, report. The colony ship has been destroyed, Admiral. We have survivors, but the alien alliance hit them hard and fast. Park's expression darkened. How many ships did they use? Our scans show it was a combined fleet. At least 30 vessels. Then they'll learn what happens when you attack human civilians. Park looked off screen for a moment. Captain, the alien fleet is still in this system. They're hiding behind the gas giant. I think they're waiting to see what we do. Orders, sir? We're going to show them exactly what humans are capable of when you threaten our people. The alien fleet emerged from behind the gas giant with confidence. They had easily destroyed one human ship. 12 more shouldn't be much harder. War Prime Krexthal watched the human vessels with his compound eyes, already planning how to divide their wreckage. Human ships are small and primitive, he told his crew. This will be over quickly. But as the two fleets approached each other, something unexpected happened. Instead of forming a traditional battle line, the human ships spread out and began moving in impossible patterns. They used the gas giant's gravity to slingshot around the planet, building up speed that should have torn their ships apart. What are they doing? High Counselor Veltar asked from her command crystal. The first human ship, a destroyer called the Soul, came screaming around the gas giant at nearly 1/10 the speed of light. Instead of firing energy weapons, it launched simple metal rods the size of telephone poles. The kinetic impactors hit a Krexthal battleship like the fist of an angry god. The alien vessel split in half. Impossible, Krexthal clicked. No organic crew could survive those forces. The humans are using artificial gravity compensation, one of his officers reported. Their ships are built to handle much higher acceleration than ours. The second human ship, the Busan, performed an even more dangerous maneuver. It dove directly at a Veltar crystal ship, firing its engines at the last second to avoid collision. But as it passed, Engineer Yoon Heil had rigged the ship's fusion reactor to overload in a controlled way. The explosion created a miniature star that lasted for 3 seconds. When the light faded, the crystal ship was gone. Commander Choi Minho coordinated the battle from the Indomitable. His tactics made no sense to the aliens. Human ships rammed enemy vessels with their armored hulls. They used their own nuclear reactors as weapons. They performed maneuvers that should have killed their crews. They fight like they don't care if they die, Veltar said with something like awe in her voice. They care, Admiral Park said over the communication channel. But we care more about protecting our people than we care about our own lives. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the alien alliance had lost 18 ships. The humans had lost 2 vessels and suffered heavy damage to 3 others. But they had won. As the surviving alien ships retreated, something strange happened across the galaxy. Ancient monuments on 1,000 worlds began broadcasting the same message in every known language. The inheritors have been attacked. The compact is broken. Ancient failsafes are now online. Dr. Kim Nuri worked frantically to understand what was happening. Deep scans of the alien debris revealed something incredible. Captain, I'm finding data cores in the wreckage. The information inside, it's about us. About humans. What kind of information? Genetic data. Cultural predictions. Technology development timelines. She looked up at him with wide eyes. Captain, these aliens have files about human development that go back millions of years. Someone knew we were coming. Admiral Park joined them in the science lab, still wearing his battle-damaged uniform. What are you saying, Doctor? I'm saying that the old laws weren't just about humans reaching the stars. Someone planned for this moment. Someone wanted humans to inherit the galaxy. As rescue operations continued and the wounded were treated, Lee stood on the bridge looking out at the stars. The first battle was over, but he could feel that this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, ancient systems were waking up. The galaxy was changing and humanity was at the center of it all. Captain, Commander Choi Minho said quietly, what do we do now? Lee thought about the 25,000 people who had died in the colony ship, about the survivors who still believed in building a better future among the stars, about the ancient mysteries that seemed to surround humanity like a puzzle waiting to be solved. We do what humans have always done, he said finally. We adapt, we survive, and we protect our own. The war for humanity's place in the galaxy had begun. Dr. Kim Nari had not slept in 3 days. Her eyes burned as she stared at the alien data cores they had recovered from the battle. The information inside was impossible, but she could not deny what she was seeing. Captain Lee, she called across the science lab. You need to see this. Lee walked over to her workstation, carrying a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. What have you found? The genetic data from the alien ships. It's not just information about humans. It's blueprints. She pointed to the screen showing complex DNA structures. Someone designed us, Captain. Every part of human evolution was planned. Commander Choi Minho joined them, looking confused. That's impossible. Evolution is random, not ours, Kim Nari said softly. Look at this timeline. The extinction of the dinosaurs, the ice ages, even the rise of agriculture. All of it was timed perfectly to create modern humans. Admiral Park's voice came over the communication system. All senior officers to the bridge immediately. When they arrived, they found Ambassador Nixara waiting for them. But she was not alone. With her stood a being unlike anything they had ever seen. It was tall and thin, with skin that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Its eyes held the weight of ages. This is Keeper Zaldan, Nixara said, one of the last survivors who remembers the old times. Keeper Zaldan spoke in a voice like distant thunder. Humans of Earth, the time has come for you to learn the truth about your species. The main screen activated, showing images of a galaxy from long ago. Beautiful cities floated in space, connected by streams of pure energy. Beings of incredible technology moved between the stars like gods. Millions of years ago, the galaxy was ruled by the Builders. Zaldan continued. They were the first to reach the stars, the first to understand the deep laws of reality. They should have lived forever. The images changed, showing darkness spreading across space, stars going out one by one, the beautiful cities cracking and falling. But something came from beyond our galaxy, something that fed on life itself. The Builders fought bravely, but they were losing. Lee felt a chill run down his spine. What happened to them? They made a choice. Instead of trying to save themselves, they decided to save the future. The screen showed planets being seeded with genetic material. They spread their knowledge across the galaxy, hidden in the DNA of countless species. But their greatest work was Earth. Dr. Kim Nari gasped as the screen showed the early Earth already prepared for what was coming. They created us? Not created, guided. They took the natural evolution of your world and carefully shaped it over millions of years. They gave you their most important gifts, the ability to adapt to anything, the will to never give up, and the capacity to think in ways no computer can predict. Engineer Yoon Hale shook his head. Why us? Why not keep themselves alive? Keeper Zaldan's starlight skin grew brighter. Because they learned something terrible in their final days. Power alone is not enough to survive what is coming. They had technology that could reshape reality, but they lacked something your species has naturally. What? Admiral Park asked. Hope. The ability to find solutions when all logic says there are none. The strength to sacrifice everything for others, even strangers. Zal then looked directly at Lee. The Builders were wise, but they were not human. Suddenly alarms began blaring across the ship. Dr. Kim Nari ran to her station, her face going pale as she read the data. Captain, something massive just entered the system. It's coming from the Galactic core. The main screen switched to show space near the center of the galaxy. A structure the size of a small moon emerged from hyperspace. It was black as night, covered with technology that hurt to look at directly. The Void Empress awakens, Keeper Zaldan said with something like fear in his ancient voice. She is the last of the Builders. She has been sleeping for millions of years, waiting for this moment. A new voice filled the bridge, speaking directly into their minds without using their ears. It was the voice of something unimaginably old and powerful. Children of Earth, I am Morwen, last Empress of the Builder race. Your people have been attacked. The compact that protected you has been broken. Images flashed through their thoughts. The destroyed colony ship, the families that had died, the alien fleets that had dared to attack humans. For millions of years, I have waited for your species to reach the stars. I will not allow you to be destroyed by those who have forgotten their place. Across the galaxy, something incredible began to happen. On worlds that had been dead for eons, ancient builder technology came to life. Weapons that could destroy entire star systems powered up for the first time in millions of years. The Empress's voice continued, now speaking to the entire galaxy. Let all species hear my words. The inheritors have awakened. They are under my protection. Any who harm them will face the full power of builder technology. Ambassador Nixara looked terrified. Empress, surely dialogue is better than threats. Dialogue is for equals, the Empress replied coldly. These attackers chose war. They will receive it. But Captain Lee stepped forward, surprising everyone. Empress Morwen, with respect, we don't want to be protected by fear. We want to earn our place in the galaxy. The bridge fell silent. No one spoke to a builder that way, especially not the last living member of their race. Interesting, the Empress said finally. You refuse my protection? We refuse to hide behind threats, Lee said firmly. If we're meant to inherit something, we'll prove we deserve it. Not through ancient weapons, but through our own actions. Admiral Park nodded in agreement. The captain speaks for all of humanity, Empress. We'll fight our own battles. The Empress was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, there was something like pride in her mental voice. Truly, you are our children. Very well, inheritors. I will not interfere directly, but know that if your species faces extinction, I will awaken the full arsenal of the builders. As the massive ship disappeared back into hyperspace, the galaxy began to change. Some species looked at humanity with new respect, knowing they had chosen to face danger rather than hide behind ancient power. Others saw them as a threat that had to be destroyed before they could grow stronger. War Prime Krexthul and High Counselor Veltar received word of what had happened. Instead of being frightened, they became more determined than ever to eliminate humanity. Now we know the truth. Krexthul clicked to his officers. The humans are not just another species. They are the heirs to the most powerful civilization in galactic history. Which is why they must die, Veltar added, her crystal form glowing with deadly light, before they can claim their inheritance. Back on the Dauntless, Dr. Kim Nari was studying the genetic data with new understanding. Captain, if the builders really designed us, then we might have abilities we don't even know about yet. What kind of abilities? I don't know. But if they gave us the tools to survive what destroyed them, we're going to need every advantage we can get. Commander Choi Minho looked at the tactical displays showing alien fleet movements across the galaxy. Because this is just the beginning, isn't it? Lee nodded grimly. The galaxy knows what we are now. Some will help us, others will try to destroy us. And somewhere out there, the same force that killed the builders is still waiting. As the Dauntless prepared for the conflicts ahead, Lee thought about the weight of inheritance. Humanity had been given the legacy of the galaxy's greatest civilization. Now they had to prove they were worthy of it. The real test was just beginning. The galaxy was burning. Admiral Park Soon-ho stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense station, watching reports pour in from across human space. Red markers on the star map showed where colonies were under attack. Yellow markers showed refugee fleets running for their lives. The few green markers representing safe human worlds seemed to shrink every day. How many ships do they have? He asked Commander Choi Minho, who was studying the latest intelligence reports. The Rebel Alliance has grown to over 200 species, sir. They call themselves the Liberation Front. Their combined fleets number in the thousands. Park felt a familiar weight in his chest. He had fought in Earth's last great war decades ago, but nothing had prepared him for this. An entire galaxy had split into sides and humanity was caught in the middle. What about our allies? Ambassador Nick Sara reports that 60 species have joined the Loyalist Coalition. They believe in the old laws and want to protect us, but they're outnumbered 3-1. The main screen activated, showing the face of someone Park had hoped never to see again. Sekmon the Betrayer had once been humanity's first alien friend. His people, the Shelnari, looked like tall, elegant birds with golden feathers and intelligent eyes. Sekmon had helped translate human language and had spoken in favor of the old laws. Now his golden feathers were dark with war paint, and his eyes burned with hatred. Humans of Earth, he said in perfect English, I once believed you were meant to lead us to a better future. I was wrong. You are too dangerous to live. Park activated the communication system. Sekmon, we trusted you. Why did you turn against us? Because I learned what you really are, Sekmon replied coldly. The builders didn't create you to protect the galaxy. They created you to replace us. You are not inheritors. You are conquerors waiting to happen. Before Park could respond, the transmission ended. Reports immediately came in from the outer colonies. Sekmon's fleet had attacked the agricultural world of New Geneva. Captain Lee Ji-wan arrived at New Geneva 3 hours too late. The planet's surface glowed with radioactive fire where cities used to stand. 2 million humans were dead, killed by weapons that turned rock into liquid and air into poison. Any survivors? He asked Dr. Kim Nari. though he already knew the answer from her expression. None on the surface. There are some emergency shelters underground, but... She couldn't finish the sentence. Engineer Yoon Heil worked frantically at his station. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures in orbit." The rebels left something behind. On the screen they could see it. A weapon the size of a skyscraper slowly moving toward the planet's core. Ancient builder technology, but twisted into something horrible. "It's a planet killer," Kim Nari whispered. "If it reaches the core, it will turn the entire world into a star." Lee didn't hesitate. "Yoon, can we stop it?" "Not with our weapons. That thing has shields our missiles can't penetrate. Then we ram it." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what Lee was suggesting. The Dauntless was the only ship in the system large enough to damage the weapon. But it would be a suicide mission. "Captain," Commander Choi Minho said quietly, "there are still people alive down there. In the shelters." Lee nodded. "I know. Yoon, prepare the ship for ramming speed. Everyone else, get to the escape pods." "Sir," Yoon said firmly, "I'm staying. Someone needs to keep the engines running." "We're all staying," Kim Nari added. "This is our fight too." The Dauntless accelerated toward the planet killer, pushing its engines beyond their safety limits. At the last moment, Yoon overloaded the fusion reactors, turning their own ship into a guided nuclear bomb. The explosion lit up the entire system. When the light faded, both the Dauntless and the planet killer were gone. Captain Lee Ji-won and his crew had saved 2 million people by sacrificing themselves. News of their sacrifice spread across human space like wildfire. Instead of being discouraged, humanity became more determined than ever. Admiral Park received a message from Earth's government. Every available ship was being sent to the front lines. Humanity would not hide while their people were being murdered. The war entered a new phase. Human fleets began using tactics that other species considered insane. They turned their own ships into weapons, used stars as artillery by destabilizing them, and fought battles in ways that no alien war computer could predict. At the Battle of Kepler Station, Commander Park Hyun, Admiral Park's daughter, led a fleet of damaged human ships against a massive rebel armada. Instead of retreating when their weapons failed, the humans used their ship's gravity manipulators to create artificial black holes. The rebel fleet was scattered across 3 star systems. In the Vega sector, engineer corps teams led by specialist Yoon Sora, Yoon Hail's sister, who had survived him, began modifying human ships with reverse-engineered builder technology. They created vessels that could phase through enemy shields and deliver kinetic payloads directly to ship hulls. But the rebels had builder weapons too. Ancient planet killers hidden on dead worlds for millions of years. They used one on the human colony of New Sol, turning an entire world into molten rock in minutes. The galaxy watched in horror as the war escalated beyond anything in recorded history. Some species tried to stay neutral, but neutrality became impossible as the conflict spread to every inhabited system. Then, the Void Empress made her move. Her massive ship appeared at the galactic core, and her mental voice reached every thinking being in the galaxy at once. "Enough. The children of Earth have proven their courage. Those who continue to attack them will face me directly." To prove her point, she destroyed an entire rebel battle group with a single shot from a weapon that existed outside normal spacetime. But instead of being grateful, Admiral Park sent a message that shocked the galaxy. "Empress Morwen, humanity appreciates your concern, but we will fight our own battles. Please withdraw your forces." The Empress was quiet for a long moment. Then she laughed, a sound like distant thunder that somehow expressed both amusement and pride. "You truly are our children." "Very well, Admiral, but know that I am watching. If you face extinction, I will not stand idle." As the Empress's ship disappeared, something unexpected happened. Species that had been neutral began choosing sides, not based on fear of ancient weapons, but on respect for humanity's courage. The tide of war began to turn. On the bridge of his new flagship, the Indefatigable, Admiral Park studied reports from across the galaxy. Human losses were heavy, but they were winning more battles than they lost. More importantly, they were inspiring their allies to fight harder. "Sir," Commander Choi Minho reported, "we're receiving a message from the rebel fleet. They want to arrange a meeting." "What kind of meeting?" "They're requesting formal surrender negotiations." Park smiled grimly. "Tell them we'll meet, but not to discuss their surrender, to discuss peace." Real peace where all species can live without fear. The greatest war in galactic history was entering its final phase. But Park knew the real challenge would come after the fighting ended. Humanity had proven they could win wars. Now they had to prove they could win the peace. Outside the ship's windows, the stars shone with the light of battles still being fought across the galaxy. Each light represented thousands of lives hanging in the balance, waiting to see what kind of inheritors humanity would become. The final battle took place at the heart of the galaxy, where ancient stars burned with the fury of creation itself. Admiral Park Soon-ho commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled, over 300 ships carrying the hopes of an entire species. Across from them, Sekmon the Betrayer led the last great rebel armada. His golden feathers had turned completely black, and his once proud species flew ships powered by stolen builder technology that hurt to look at directly. "This ends here," Sekmon broadcast to the human fleet. "We will not bow to inheritors who bring only war and destruction." Park's response was calm but firm. "We didn't choose this war, Sekmon, but we'll finish it." The battle began unlike any other in galactic history. The rebels unleashed ancient planet killers, weapons that could turn entire star systems into cosmic graveyards. But humanity had learned to adapt builder technology in ways their creators never imagined. Dr. Kim Nari, now Admiral Kim Nari and commander of the science fleet, had discovered how to reverse the polarity of the planet killers. Instead of destroying worlds, her modified weapons created new stars from space dust, turning the darkness between planets into blazing light. Engineer Yoon Sora led assault ships that could phase in and out of normal spacetime. Her vessels appeared inside enemy ships, delivered devastating attacks, and vanished before the rebels could respond. The alien fleets found themselves fighting an enemy that could strike from impossible angles. But the rebels had one final weapon, the Void Empress's own sister ship, thought destroyed millions of years ago. The massive vessel emerged from a hidden base at the galactic core, its weapons charged with the power of dying stars. "Face the true inheritors," Sekmon declared as the ancient warship opened fire. The first blast destroyed 12 human vessels instantly. The second turned a small moon into cosmic dust. The third was aimed directly at Admiral Park's flagship. That's when something unexpected happened. Commander Park Hyun, Admiral Park's daughter, flew her destroyer directly into the path of the blast. Her ship's shields couldn't possibly stop a weapon designed by the builders themselves. But she had modified them with something the ancient race had never possessed. Hope made manifest through human engineering. The impossible happened. The weapon's energy was absorbed and redirected, turning the death ray into a wave of pure creation that healed damaged ships instead of destroying them. "How?" Sekmon demanded, his voice breaking with disbelief. Admiral Park's answer was broadcast across the entire galaxy. "Because we don't just inherit technology, Sekmon. We improve it. We make it better than it was before." The tide of battle turned. Human ships, many of them damaged beyond any reasonable hope of fighting, continued to press forward. They used tactics that violated every known law of space combat, fought with weapons that shouldn't have worked, and displayed a level of courage that inspired even their enemies. One by one, rebel ships began to surrender, not because they were defeated, but because they finally understood what they were fighting against. A species that turned impossible situations into opportunities for growth. When Sekmon's flagship was finally surrounded, the golden-feathered alien made one last desperate choice. He activated his ship's self-destruct sequence, intending to take as many humans with him as possible. But Admiral Park did something that no one expected. Instead of destroying Sekmon's ship, he ordered his fleet to shield it with their own vessels. "Sekmon," Park said over the communication channel, "you were our friend once. Let us help you remember why." The self-destruct sequence was interrupted by human engineering teams who boarded the rebel flagship not to capture it, but to save it. They worked alongside Sekmon's own crew to shut down the overloading reactors. When the danger passed, Sekmon stood on his bridge surrounded by humans who had risked their lives to save him. His black war paint was streaked with tears that sparkled like gold in the starlight. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why save someone who tried to destroy you?" Dr. Kim Nari, who had been leading the rescue team, smiled softly. "Because that's what inheritors do. We don't just take what was left to us, we make it better, including the galaxy itself." The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. 3 months later, Representatives from every species in the galaxy gathered at a space station built from the wreckage of the final battle, the Terran Assembly they called it, a place where all voices could be heard. Admiral Park, now promoted to Fleet Admiral and humanity's representative to the galaxy, stood before the assembled aliens. His hair had gone completely gray during the war, but his eyes still held the spark of determination that had carried humanity through its darkest hour. "We are not here to rule you," he said simply. "We are here to serve. The Builders left us a great inheritance, but inheritance means responsibility. The new Galactic Charter was unlike anything in recorded history. Instead of conquest or dominance, it established humanity as protectors and mediators. Human fleets would patrol the space between star systems, preventing wars before they could start. Human scientists would share their knowledge freely, helping younger species develop safely. Human diplomats would settle disputes through negotiation rather than force. Sekmon, his feathers slowly returning to their natural gold color, spoke for many when he addressed the assembly. "I feared the humans because I thought they would become like the ancient powers, distant and cold, caring only for their own strength. I was wrong. They have shown us something new, power that serves rather than dominates." The Void Empress, attending the assembly through a holographic projection, watched with something like pride as humanity took its first steps as galactic leaders. "You have exceeded even my hopes," she told Admiral Park privately. "The Builders created you to survive what destroyed us. But you have become something greater, a species that helps others survive as well." "What about the threat from beyond the galaxy?" Park asked. "The force that destroyed the Builders is still out there." The Empress's ancient face grew serious. "Yes, it is. And when it returns, you will face it not as the Builders did, alone and proud, but together with every species in the galaxy. That may make all the difference." 5 years later, Admiral Park stood on the observation deck of the new Terran Guardian station, watching ships from 100 different species work together to build humanity's latest project, a deep space monitoring network that would detect threats from beyond the galactic rim. Commander Park Hyun, now an admiral herself, joined him at the window. "Father, do you think we've earned our inheritance?" Park smiled, thinking of all the friends they had lost, all the worlds that had been saved, and all the species that now looked to humanity not with fear, but with hope. "I think we're still earning it," he said, "every day with every choice we make. The Builders left us the tools to protect the galaxy, but they also left us something more important, the responsibility to use those tools wisely." In the distance, new ships were launching, not just human vessels, but craft built by the combined technology of 100 species working together. Each ship carried a mixed crew of different aliens united by a common purpose. The oldest rule in the galaxy had been updated one final time. It no longer read, "Do not defy the humans." Now it said something that gave hope to every thinking being in the galaxy. "The inheritors stand watch. All who seek peace may find it under their protection. All who threaten innocence will face their justice. And all who dream of a better future will find friends among the stars." Humanity had inherited the galaxy not through conquest, but through service. They had proven that the greatest strength was not the power to destroy, but the wisdom to protect and the courage to hope. The galaxy was safe, for now. But Park knew that greater challenges lay ahead. Somewhere beyond the rim of known space, ancient enemies stirred in the darkness between galaxies. When they came, they would find not the isolated, prideful Builders who had fallen before, but a united galaxy led by a species that had learned the most important lesson of all, that true inheritance is not about what you receive, but what you give to those who come after you. The stars shone with promise, and humanity stood ready to keep that promise for all the generations yet to come.